Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm just watching everyone filter in, so I'll just give a little bit more time for people to come in.
There should be hold music,
Yeah.
like elevator music for the tune in.
Da, da, da. All right. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to JobAdder's Breakfast Club series. We're talking all things remote working today. So I'm Christina. I'm head of marketing here at JobAdder, and today I'm here with Adam from ActiveCampaign. So thanks for joining us, Adam.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm a little bit biased, but I'm really excited about this one because obviously I used to be marketing in a recruitment agency, and we also use ActiveCampaign within JobAdder. So I feel like there's a lot of really cool stuff that ActiveCampaign can do for recruiters. So I'm really excited for this one. So let's jump right in. Adam, could you tell us about ActiveCampaign and why it's great for recruiters?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, ActiveCampaign gives you the email marketing automation and CRM tools to create greater customer experiences. We're really underpinning that category of customer experience automation, and basically we help you turn your leads into customers and then your customers into repeat customers by ensuring you send the right message at the right time. Our overall mission is to help businesses meaningfully connect and engage with their customers, with the ultimate goal of making sure that automation is at a level that's super personal.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want automation to you definitely want it to save you time and definitely less labor
Mhm.
and everything, but you also don't want it to seem impersonal. So it's kind of finding
Exactly.
that balance, I think. So thanks for that. So we all know there have been lots of changes in the way that we work recently. Everyone's at home. But what are some of the issues that you're seeing in recruitment in general?
I think primarily it's the manual handling of having to sort of manage, nurture, keep in touch with so many candidates. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of the clients that we deal with have just got so many different candidates as well, applying for different roles and whatnot, and quite a big database of candidates. So I think traditionally recruiters they're keeping it quite traditional at the moment. Let me get rid of that notification. They're keeping it quite traditional at the moment and aren't really putting in measures to automate their marketing and sales process, which is, I guess, it's resulting in a lot of wasted time and or opportunities.
Yeah. I think a lot of recruiters at the moment, there's a bit of automation and AI within JobAdder, and I think the next step for a lot of recruiters is now to actually take that automation into marketing, which I
Right.
think some agencies are doing it, but most of them aren't. So I think a lot of them, yeah, this is really exciting. I'm really glad that we're doing this
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, me
So
too.
how would you say ActiveCampaign is solving these issues for recruiters right now?
Well, firstly, our platform is great because of its simplicity. So you don't need to be a technical expert to integrate with or connect our two platforms. And obviously, the two that I'm talking about is JobAdder and ActiveCampaign. We use an app called Zapier, and Zapier basically tells you what you need to do as you are linking JobAdder with ActiveCampaign. Secondly, once the two platforms have been linked, um, jumping into ActiveCampaign and setting up your first few automations, you'll find is relatively easy. And that's because we've created our tool in a way that allows the non-technical people to use it with ease. And I guess lastly, the power of our automation tool and the sophistication of our ability to segment is what really helps take our recruitment clients' sales and marketing process to the next level. So I suppose the quick wins from a recruiter's perspective come in the form of being able to know things like when a candidate has opened an email, after what time period they might have engaged with that email, whether or not they've clicked a specific link within that email, what city they come from, what tags are associated with their name. Then we can use that information to begin automating, segmenting, nurturing each individual candidate in accordance to their unique actions, right? So can I give you a sort of a quick example of what that might look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, so say you have a new candidate apply for one of your jobs. We can create an automation that looks like this. So new candidate gets created in JobAdder. Zapier will send a zap to ActiveCampaign, and that will put that candidate automatically, and it'll enter them automatically into an automation within our tool that you've created. And we can call that the new candidate automation, right? So what happens next is the candidate will be placed in that automation, and they'll stay there either until that automation has ended or until a specific goal has been achieved. That goal might be, once you've placed a candidate into a role. So you might nurture that candidate until he or she has been placed. And once they have, we can either end that automation or enter them into a new automation altogether. Perhaps a candidate has been placed, and to keep them, this might be to keep them informed while they're in their new role. So that could be the next automation that we enter them into, is sort of once they're placed, to keep nurturing them, to ensure that they're, that you're still sort of reaching out and building that relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you wanted to take that over to the client side, for example, you could have them running through an automation where they might be receiving emails, about your services, about your clients who are really, really happy. And then, once you might set that they get a tag that you've got your first job on with them, then that's the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to turn them into a paying client. So it works for candidates as well as clients, depending on, what your goals are at the moment.
Yeah, totally. Look, the whole premise behind this is to try and remove as much manual handling as we can. So you've got your traditional way of communicating with your clients and your candidates, and what our tool really allows you to do and gives you the ability to do is to remove as much of that manual reach out and communication, and really start to move as much as you can online. And that's in the form of sending the right message at the right time, like I said earlier.
Yep.
And we can make it super tailored. And yeah, once again, it's very scalable as well. So instead of having to spend 10 to 20 minutes trying to compose an email and send it out to a whole bunch of people, you can create the foundation for that, and that'll cut your time down more than half, sometimes up to 30, well, say 30 times, sorry. So like it really gives you the ability to make that super scalable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at the moment, a lot of recruiters are, and this is great. I don't think that this should replace picking up the phone, but I think a lot of candidate care and a lot of BD is very, very manual. So it involves picking up the phone, manually putting in your notes. But we've got ActiveCampaign, we've got Aircall, we've got things so that you shouldn't have to be manually putting in data anymore, and sort of doing everything one by one. If you can automate this in the background, then you can still do your phone calls, but it's something that, like you said, is just more scalable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So when a recruiter thinks of ActiveCampaign, what are the main things that you want them to remember? So I guess that would be your unique selling point.
Yeah, look, in my opinion, we've got three main strong, unique selling points. I think the first is our advanced automation and segmentation. I think traditionally with say our tools that our competitors are using, automation is very sort of basic and one-dimensional. And as far as I'm aware, there aren't many platforms out there that have that ability to get as granular as we can when it comes to providing that customer experience automation solution that ActiveCampaign does. The second is machine learning, so artificial intelligence. And one machine learning feature we have is a feature called predictive sending. And the way that works is when you send a campaign out, our tool will ensure that your email is being sent to people when they're most likely going to open that email. So say you send a campaign at 10 a.m., your emails won't be sent at 10 a.m. Rather, they'll be sent in accordance to when each individual is likely to open that email based on previous open history. And in a world where deliverability is everything, this feature is absolutely it. So that's number two. Number three is our support. We've got quite a few offices around the world, but specifically one here in Sydney, even though we're all working remote at the moment, and our headquarters is in Chicago. So you've got someone, a human, to talk to from 8 till 6 here in Sydney. And then once we close, Chicago basically opens, and you've got more humans to speak to over there. And once again, in a world where communication is everything, and say something's wrong with an automation, you don't have to wait 24, 48 hours for someone to get back to you. It's pretty much instantaneous. And I really feel like that's one of our strongest unique selling points.
Yeah, that's definitely one of ours here at JobAdder as well. I think when you feel like something's wrong or when you don't know how to do something, like you want to know straight away because you feel like that's kind of, you need that to do your job. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
Adam's going to run us through a high level demo of how ActiveCampaign interacts with JobAdder.
Well, good luck to me. I don't know how high level this is going to be, but no, this is the fun part. Like, I'll try not to make this too complicated, but it's important. I think visually, once people start to sort of see what this looks like, it might make a little bit more sense. So the tool I mentioned, Zapier, this is kind of one of the first things you'll need to do to link the two platforms. So you obviously choose the app, which is JobAdder, choose a trigger event. So the trigger event I've created here is when a new candidate comes in, either say via a landing page or say you enter them manually or you import a list. And we choose the account, that's my JobAdder account that you've created me. The trigger is for new records only, and that was just to test the data. Now, I linked it obviously to my ActiveCampaign account. I chose the account, and this is the action. So to add the contact into an automation. So just to sort of make sure I help you understand what's happening here. I've created JobAdder. I said the trigger is as soon as a new candidate comes in, and the event is to send that candidate or any candidate that is created via that trigger into this particular automation within ActiveCampaign. And that automation that I've created just for the purpose of this scenario is JobAdder Candidate Nurture 1. Now so obviously everyone knows what this looks like within JobAdder. That's me. And this here is the automation that I was referring to. This is the JobAdder Candidate Nurture email automation. So what will happen is they come into JobAdder, they get zapped into ActiveCampaign, and automatically they get sent this email. Call it what you will. I've called it a JobAdder Candidate Nurture email number 1. We can put a wait step in that says wait 2 days, and this is where the magic happens. So we could put a condition that says, has that candidate opened JobAdder Candidate Nurture email 1? If they have, let's add a tag that says new candidate engaged. And the reason why that's so important is because we're talking about segmentation. We're talking about personalization and tailoring the right message to the right people. Well, if you're adding engaged tags to people that are engaging with your content, you'll know exactly who you need to market to and how often to those people that are engaged. And you can obviously go even further and once again send them nurture email number 2 and do whatever you want to do down that path. If they haven't opened that email after 2 days, doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to stay in touch with them, but you might want to put a tag that says disengaged. So it's like, okay, well, they're not really engaging with the first email that you sent. Let's send them email, candidate nurture email 1B, which is sort of similar to 1A. Maybe it's a little bit more engaging. And once again, you can do whatever you want to do down this path. So that's just really basic 101 automation that I've just shown you. I really want to show you this site and event tracking tool because I think it's something that that recruiters can definitely get their hands dirty with. So do you mind if I show you that really quickly too?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so if I go here, so what I've done, I've based this on your website. And if you're a recruiter and you're watching this, try and relate this to your website as well, right? So I mean a recruiter's website. But so basing it on the JobAdder site, the automation here is when someone within ActiveCampaign, so say you've brought your list over to ActiveCampaign, what we can do as soon as they engage in one of the first emails that you send out, we can begin tracking them using our site and event tracking tool, which is found here. All you need to do is put this tracking code into any page that you want tracked. But for the purpose of this, what I've done, say I go into your website and I go here to recruitment management system, just pretend I'm a prospect and I've just clicked on that link. What will happen is, as soon as I click on that link, ActiveCampaign can track me and I will be entered into this automation. And what will happen is, that's the trigger, contact visits that particular page on your site, a tag is added and that tag might be, hey, interested in RMS, which is recruitment management system. We do have a CRM, so what I've put here is add a deal within our CRM. Not to, do not use our CRM if you've got JobAdder, because that's obviously working quite well for you guys. But the reason why I have it is so that way, if that is coming in, you can notify the deal owner as well to say, hey, a warm lead has entered your pipeline. It's time to get in touch with them. And the other
And
thing
that
that's happening,
notification, sorry to jump in, that
sorry,
notification can be email or SMS, can't it? It depends
it
how you want to
can.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it can. Email, SMS, which is really great. But this just once again, just to show you even further what we can go ahead and do here is once they come down this particular automation, we can then enter them in to that original automation that I was showing you, excuse me, which is this one here. And once again, I'm showing you 1/16th, 1/20th of what the tool can do here, but just to keep it really basic, this is the whole premise of this is automating what can be automated, and just to make everyone's life easier in that space specifically. It's sort of like if you're not doing this, there might be candidates going onto your site, looking at particular jobs, clicking on pages, and you don't have anything in place to not just track them, but to nurture and automate. This takes everything to a whole other level.
Yeah. And that's in, I guess, action or sort of intent based. That's what I like about it. So I think there's kind of two ways. I won't go too much into it, but everyone who's here today, I'll make sure that you receive our, we have an essential marketing guide for recruiters, and I've written a section on marketing automation, and it can run you through just some ideas, because I know a lot of recruiters I speak to, they don't even know where to start. So it's really good to just get an idea of exactly some good use cases, how you could use marketing automation, because it is so big, it is so powerful. It's almost better to just strip it back and go back to basics and go, okay, what am I trying to achieve with candidates? What am I trying to achieve with, obtaining new clients? So if you take it back to what is it that you want to achieve, let's start really small. Let's start really basic.
Well, you know what? Like I still get emails from recruiters I've worked with in the past, and obviously I'm not looking at the moment. But if I was to
and
go
you
on,
used to be a recruiter, didn't you, Adam?
I did, yeah. For
Yeah.
6 months, I was a sales recruiter, and I won't say the name of the product I use because they're a competitor of yours, but it was basically 100% phone calls, or maybe 99% phone calls and 1% email, right? And like you said earlier, we don't want to remove that, but we just want to start enhancing and making the recruiters' lives a lot easier. It's sort of like if you can nurture. So what we want to do, obviously, is turn our candidates from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead, and then get them hot and ready and prepared to face their first, second, third interview. And then once they get placed in a role, why not put them into maybe a 3-month nurture sequence where you're reaching out with tips on how to stay in a job for 3 months, or you know what I mean? Like just stuff that's relevant to them. And that's what we're trying to do here is once they come into your funnel, let's nurture that middle of the funnel, turn them into place them in a role. And then once they're placed, let's keep nurturing them. And our tool absolutely allows that. And you know what, sorry, just to keep blabbing on. Just to keep blabbing on.
Right.
If anyone is interested in using ActiveCampaign, they're kind of worried that they're not a marketing expert or whatnot, our onboarding and success and support training team here is just phenomenal. Like in your first 40 days, you'll get 4 onboarding sessions and you'll get one-on-one training. So we really hold your hand until the point where you really feel comfortable in using our tool.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And I think as we can see on your screen, I get a lot of people asking me, what's the difference between a basic email marketing tool and marketing automation? It's pretty much what we can see on the screen. So but it depends what you want. Some people are just going to need the email. So it just depends. If you just want to send one email once a month to people, then you can sort of use any basic email marketing for that. But the thing with marketing automation is you can treat people differently based on where they go on your website, based on the actions that they take, whether they open emails, whether they click on your emails, and you can say, okay, if this candidate clicked on this email, then treat them like this, do these things. Or if they don't do it, then you can send them down this path. That's what I see as the big difference between the two.
That honestly, that's just to keep it really simple, this is the biggest difference in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
This is our bread and butter right here. Our secret sauce is this if-else statement. So the condition I've got here is, has someone opened that email? Like I said earlier, you can do, has someone clicked the link? Has someone forwarded that email? Has someone shared that email socially? Has the email been replied to? There's so many conditions that you can base specific rules on. So basically, let me try and find, has a site message been sent? Has achieved a goal? Let's say, has clicked on a link in any campaign, the job nurture campaign, and has also, if we can add another condition, sorry, we'll go back here, site and event data. So we want to do is, so say we want to track whether or not someone's clicked a link within an email and whether or not they've visited that particular site that we've got here. Really sorry, just trying to get it up. Site and event data has visited.
So this would be for your own recruitment website. So whether someone has visited specific pages, high intent pages. So if they're a potential client, they might visit your pricing page or your meet the team page, or if they're a candidate, signs of job searching activity could be if they are looking at particular jobs or if they're going to your job searching page.
Yeah, honestly, there is no limitation really. So, but what I'm trying to show here is you don't just have to base the condition off whether or not someone's opened an email or, whether or not someone's clicked the link. You can do all of those, and you can make the condition in addition to that, whether or not they've visited your site and whether or not they've visited 2 to 5 times. So you might want to only track people that are super engaged. And if we add that as a condition, you can see what that's doing. So it's like, we're waiting 2 days. Have they done all of that? Because if they have, let's either do this or let's either do that. And that's super powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got a few questions coming in if you've shown us everything that you were going to.
Yeah, let me go back to the main screen and I'll do my best to answer those.
Yeah, all good. So Fiona asked, do you have landing pages as part of ActiveCampaign?
The answer to that is right now we don't. Unfortunately, we have a tool called Forms. To be completely honest, I'm sure everyone in the company would say it's not our strong point, but you can definitely create a page that you can use for people to go to and leave their information. But we do have a native integration with Unbounce, so that's important to know.
Yep. And Cameron has asked, and I think I can take this, are the communications with ActiveCampaign added to the contact or candidate notes in JobAdder? At the moment, the answer is no. So what we've just done, we have a training session on Monday where our training manager is going to take you through the new way that you can actually push contacts into email and marketing automation platforms. So now we've linked forms. So sorry, not forms, folders. So for example, if you want to put candidates into a folder that is, engineering candidates, for example, you can set in Zapier to link that folder directly to ActiveCampaign or any other marketing automation tool. So they can go in, and then you can actually set it that when you remove them, this is the key bit that we didn't have before. If you remove them from the folder, then they are removed from that list in ActiveCampaign. So then they won't continue to be marketed to. So previously we had a push. You were able to push candidates in, but you weren't able to pull them out. That's changed now. So in terms of actually being able to see what is happening in JobAdder on ActiveCampaign, that's something that we'd have to explore later. If we get enough JobAdder clients onto ActiveCampaign, then we can look at doing a native integration. Right now it just integrates with Zapier. So the role that Zapier plays is just pushing those contacts in and pulling them out of ActiveCampaign. That's Zapier's only role, is zapping them in and zapping them out. So right now it's quite basic. Adam, do you want to?
Oh no, sorry. I think there might be a slight lag. So sorry if I'm cutting in front of you. But
That's all right.
I think we definitely we're not going to replace JobAdder at all. I think what the message to send here is that if you're using something like MailChimp or Campaign Monitor, or just one of those plays in the market that are primarily email marketing, it's sort of like, really entertain using our tool, because our automation is far from basic. In fact, we're probably the best in the market in terms of sophisticated automation segmentation, and we want to replace those tools, and we want to find the smartest way to integrate with tools like JobAdder and make lives
Mm.
easier for for the people we're presenting to today.
Yeah. I think what we can look at as a phase 2 integration is probably not every recruiter is going to have an ActiveCampaign login. It's probably either going to be an administrator or your marketing person or your office manager. So it's good for recruiters to be able to see what's happening in ActiveCampaign. Right now, we don't have that functionality with any email or marketing automation tool. That would only come, for example, if you've got Salesforce and you've got any of their natively integrated apps. That's the only way that tools will integrate like that. But we see that as a phase 2. So that it is really important for recruiters to be able to see, a lot of what's happening in that other platform. So we've got another question from Marilyn. So she said, we just covered this a little bit, but she said, can you tell me what Zapier is? Is it an integration tool? Yes. So Zapier is an integration tool. There is a free version, which you can use if you only want to do a single one-way Zap. If you want to do multiple, then that's when you get into paid. But paid, I think, don't quote me, but I think it's only about $30 a month. So it's not an expensive tool. But Zapier is basically the linking tool. So if you want to link JobAdder and ActiveCampaign, Zapier is what sits in the middle, and it will zap that information from JobAdder to ActiveCampaign and from ActiveCampaign back to JobAdder. That's probably the best way I know how to describe it. But I think we want to do a training session on Zapier as well. So we'll let you know about that when that comes up. I've just got another question through from Diane. This is in relation to what Adam showed about a page visit automation. How does a page view capture their email address? Are we talking about the candidate filling a form on that page, not just scrolling through the page? That's a good question.
So I should have elaborated on that. What needs to happen? Let's just say you're a recruiter or a recruitment company and you've got a list of X amount of people, however many people you bring over. So what needs to happen? Let's just use the number of 1,000. So say you're bringing 1,000 candidates over to ActiveCampaign. What will need to happen is you import your list into ActiveCampaign, and you'll need to send a campaign out, so an email campaign out to those list of people. The only way we can start tracking them is if they've engaged with that campaign. So at a minimum, they would have had to have opened one of your emails. The moment they do that, we can use our site tracking tool, like I just showed you, to track their movements, not just on your website, but we got a thing called attribution, so we can see what marketing channels they've come from. But we can't capture someone's email through using our tool. Rather, they have to be in our system and they have to have engaged with a campaign. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so we actually cover this in the ebooks that we put together. So I'll make sure that we send that out to everyone who's here today. So it's basically what you would think of as a known contact. So the way for a contact to be, so an anonymous person, if I've never downloaded a piece of content or applied for a role or put my details or in the actual CRM of a company, then I'm not a known person. So I could come onto your website and have a look at a few pages, and you're not going to be able to track that because you don't know who that person is. That's why it's great to have downloadable content. That's why it's great to sort of really be funneling people through to your website to actually capture their data, because that's when you can start seeing what they're doing, and that's when you can really start sort of following them. I think a lot of agencies don't sort of think in this way just yet. It's definitely going to happen. It's the shift that I noticed when I went from working in a recruitment agency to working in software and tech marketing, because in software and tech, it is required as an absolute minimum that you are generating leads, that you're getting more known people into your ActiveCampaign or into whichever system you're using, to actually nurture them and to convert them into either placed candidates or paying clients. So I think that shift is happening, but it's something that's happening slowly as well. Yeah. So I'll see if there's any. Oh wow, I've never had this many questions. Let's have a look. So Marilyn said, yes, please, on Zapier training. Absolutely. So Hasty said, what's the pricing like? How is it structured?
Okay, so the pricing up to the pro plan, you can have between 0 and 2.5K. Well, you can have as many contacts, but the price, let me Can I just share the screen with you again?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. So we've got the basic plan is, once this loads, you start with 0 to 500 contacts, and I believe it's somewhere between 15 and 19 AUD per month on that. That's the other thing. While this is loading, you can pay yearly, quarterly, or monthly. So if you don't want to lock yourself in, that's it's an option. But you can see here, that's our tiers start 500 contacts, so 0 to 500 contacts. Well, let's go monthly. That's what it looks like monthly. $19 a month on the Lite, $120 on the Plus. This is our most popular, the Pro. And I mentioned that predictive sending feature. This is why I direct everyone to the professional plan, because of this, primarily this feature here, the predictive sending and customer attribution. But here, I'm not trying to sell people here, but I'm just trying to show you that the most popular plan is the Pro because of that reason. Yeah, and then that price doesn't change until we go from 2.5 to 5K contacts, and that's when our prices do start to change in accordance to each tier, as you can see.
Yeah. So what you can do is, obviously, when you first get most marketing automation platforms run on this type of pricing where it's sort of tiered by contact number. So that's quite a normal thing. But I think what you can do is, if you're just starting out and you're just trying to get everyone in, you can choose maybe your first few hundred or your first few thousand most engaged candidates. I mean, if you've got 50,000 candidates, some of them that you haven't spoken to in 5 years, I'm not going to be dumping them all straight over into ActiveCampaign. I don't think that's the best way to do it. You know, you'd be choosing the ones that you're most likely to be either, you know, placing in roles, or even on the client side, you know, the ones that you are most likely to be converting, then you would bring those over. You would start small and then you would start building on it from there. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. There's quite a few different ways you can do it. Like, the most important thing initially is to be sending emails to people that are most likely to engage, because initially within the email marketing world, one of the most important things is your domain reputation and your email deliverability rate. And the higher that is, the more likely those emails are going to end up in the primary inbox. And if emails are going to the promotions tab and whatever, people typically aren't opening them as much, obviously. So you're right in saying that that strategy is great, but also it also makes sense within the first month or two to maybe bring your entire list over and start with the most engaged first, but then start sending emails to people that maybe aren't engaging as much. And if they still aren't, we can add that disengaged tag and really sort of start to make that list look a little bit healthier from your perspective as well.
Yep. Perfect. So we do have some more questions, but we've actually run out of time today. If anyone's asked any questions that we didn't have time to answer, I'll make sure that they go over to Adam, and Adam will be able to get back to you directly on them. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thanks for having me. Hello.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Any way possible. You can write my mobile number now if you want, 0484 333 432. Feel free to call me on that. My email is agresta, so my first initial and my last name, at activecampaign.com. You can knock on my door. You can send me a DM via Instagram. I don't really care how people get in touch with me, just as long as they do, and any question that they have, either myself or anyone in our team would be happy to answer. And yeah, I'm looking forward to helping people with this integration. Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. That's Breakfast Club for today. See you on Monday.
Christina.
Thanks. Bye.